Welcome, viewers. If you're here for dangerous romance, shocking twists, and stories that linger in your mind long after they end, you're in the right place. Go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you're new here, hit subscribe so you never miss a story. Now let's dive in. Elara Chen stood alone by the Champagne Tower, watching her crush laugh with someone else. Again, she had spent 2 hours getting ready for this Christmas party. Her emerald dress hugged every curve perfectly, hair swept up in an elegant twist, makeup flawless, all for David Martinez from accounting, the guy who'd smiled at her exactly 3 times in the elevator over the past 6 months. He hadn't even looked her way once tonight. The ballroom glittered with fairy lights and golden ornaments. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over executives in designer suits and assistants in their best department store dresses. Everyone belonged somewhere. In some conversation, some circle, everyone except her. That's when she felt him behind her. Couldn't explain how she knew someone was there. Just a shift in the air, a presence that made the hair on her neck stand up. You're standing like you want to disappear. His voice was deep, accented. Korean, maybe. Elara turned around and forgot how to breathe. The man towering over her looked like he'd walked straight out of a dangerous fantasy. Sharp cheekbones. Dark eyes that seemed to catalog everything about her in 2 seconds. Black suit tailored so precisely it probably cost more than her monthly rent. Ink peeked from his collar. Tattoos crawling up his neck in intricate patterns she couldn't quite make out in the dim lighting. "I'm sorry," she managed. "Your body language." He gestured with a glass of whiskey. Arms crossed. Weight on your back foot. Eyes scanning for exits. Classic invisibility posture. I'm not trying to be invisible." "No." One corner of his mouth lifted. "Then why are you hiding behind a champagne tower at your own company's Christmas party?" Heat rushed to her cheeks. "How do you know I work here?" "Lucky guess." His gaze flicked across the room, then back to her. Something calculating moved behind those dark eyes. "Let me guess. You came tonight hoping someone would notice you. Spent hours getting ready. Picked the perfect dress. And now that person is over there pretending you don't exist." Elara's jaw dropped. "Are you psychic or just incredibly rude?" "Observant." He took a sip of whiskey, never breaking eye contact. "Also pragmatic. I have a proposition for you." "A what?" "I need to look occupied tonight. Attached. You need to stop looking like the girl everyone forgot to talk to." He stepped closer, and suddenly the room felt smaller. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to act like you're mine." The words sent electricity straight down her spine. "Excuse me?" "Just for tonight." His hand found the small of her back, warm through the thin fabric of her dress. "We'll laugh together. Dance. Make it look real. In exchange, everyone in this room will see you on the arm of the most dangerous man here." Dangerous? She should have stepped back. Should have walked away. Instead, she found herself leaning slightly into his touch. "What makes you dangerous?" His smile turned predatory. "The fact that you're still standing here asking questions instead of running." "Setup, 0:45 to 2:30. "I don't even know your name," Elara whispered, hyper-aware of his thumb tracing small circles against her back. "Jin Wukong." He said it like she should recognize it. When her expression stayed blank, something flickered in his eyes. Satisfaction, maybe. "And you are?" "Elara Chen." Beautiful name for a beautiful woman who deserves better than standing alone at parties. Jin Woo's gaze swept the room again with that same calculating intensity. "So, do we have a deal, Elara Chen?" She should have said no. Every rational part of her brain screamed that mysterious strangers with neck tattoos and predatory smiles were red flags wrapped in expensive suits. But David was across the room with his hand on another woman's waist. Her co-workers were clustered in their usual groups, none of them having bothered to include her all night. And this dangerously attractive man was offering her a way to stop being invisible, even if just for a few hours. "What's in it for you?" she asked. "Why do you need to look attached?" "Let's just say I'm here for business, and business goes smoother when people think I'm occupied with personal matters." His hand slid possessively to her hip. "Question's done, because your crush just looked over here." Elara's eyes darted across the room. David was staring directly at them, his conversation apparently forgotten. Jin Woo leaned down, his lips inches from her ear. "Wave at him." "What?" "Smile. Wave. Show him you're exactly where you want to be." His breath was warm against her neck. Make him regret every time he looked past you. Something reckless ignited in Alara's chest. Maybe it was the champagne she'd nervously downed earlier. Maybe it was months of being overlooked finally bubbling over. Maybe it was the intoxicating way Jinwoo touched her like she was already his. She smiled, bright and genuine, and gave David a little wave. Then she turned back to Jinwoo and made a decision that would change everything. Deal. But I have rules. I'm listening. No wandering hands below the waist. No kissing unless I initiate it. And at the end of the night, we go our separate ways. Clean break. Jinwoo's smile was devastating. You drive a hard bargain, Alara Chun. He extended his hand. Agreed. The moment their palms touched, electricity shot up her arm. His fingers laced with hers. And suddenly they weren't negotiating anymore. They were connected. Shall we make an entrance? Jinwoo pulled her toward the center of the ballroom, where couples swayed to a jazz rendition of a Christmas classic. Time to give them something to talk about. Alara let him lead her onto the dance floor, acutely aware of every eye turning their direction. Jinwoo's arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her against him. They fit together perfectly. Her head just below his chin, their bodies aligned like they'd done this 1,000 times before. Relax, he murmured. You're supposed to look like you want to be here. I am relaxed. Your shoulders are up by your ears. His hand splayed across her back, thumb finding the knot of tension between her shoulder blades. Breathe, Alara. This is supposed to be fun. She exhaled slowly, letting herself sink into his embrace. Jinwoo moved with fluid grace, guiding her through the steps like he'd been born dancing. Around them, conversations hushed. People stared. They're all looking at us, Alara whispered. Good. Jinwoo spun her out, then pulled her back in closer than before. That's the point. Let them look. Let them wonder who you are and why I can't take my eyes off you. This is just an act. Is it? His dark eyes held hers captive. Because I wasn't acting when I said you deserve better than standing alone at parties. The song ended. Jinwoo didn't let go. One more dance, he said, though it wasn't really a question. Alara nodded, unable to form words. A slower melody started, something romantic and aching. Jinwoo pulled her flush against him, one hand spanning her waist while the other cradled hers against his chest. She could feel his heartbeat. Steady, unhurried. You're good at this, Alara said, needing to break the intensity building between them. At dancing, at making it seem real. Jinwoo's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Who says I'm pretending? Before she could process that, a voice cut through their bubble. Alara? Is that you? David. Of course. Jinwoo's grip on her waist turned possessive as David approached with his date, a leggy blonde from marketing whose name Alara could never remember. Hey, David. She was proud of how steady her voice sounded. David's eyes raked over Jinwoo, cataloging the expensive suit, the tattoos, the way this stranger held Alara like she was precious. I didn't know you were seeing anyone. There's a lot you don't know about me. The words came out sharper than intended. Jinwoo's thumb traced her hip bone, a subtle reminder that she wasn't alone. David, was it? I'm Jinwoo. He didn't offer his hand. Alara's told me so much about you. Lie. Beautiful, dangerous lie. David's date tugged his arm. Come on, babe. They're serving the good champagne. As they walked away, Alara felt something crack open in her chest. All those months of hoping David would notice her. And now that he finally had, she didn't care. Not with Jinwoo's hands on her and his dark eyes seeing her in a way David never had. Thank you, she whispered. For what? Making him see me, even if it's fake. Jinwoo stopped moving. Right there in the middle of the dance floor, he stopped and cupped her face with both hands. Look at me, Alara. She did. Those obsidian eyes were serious now, intense in a way that made her knees weak. Nothing about the way I'm looking at you is fake. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. Understand. Her breath caught. This was supposed to be pretend, a mutually beneficial arrangement that ended when the party did. But the way Jinwoo touched her, looked at her, held her, it felt devastatingly real. I need air, Alara said suddenly, pulling back. Jinwoo released her immediately, though his hand found hers. Balcony? She nodded, letting him guide her through the crowd. People parted for Jinwoo like he commanded the space around him. Outside, December air bit at her bare shoulders. The city glittered below them, Christmas lights twinkling across the downtown skyline. Cold. Jinwoo shrugged out of his jacket before she could answer, draping it over her shoulders. It smelled like expensive cologne and something darker. Dangerous. You don't have to keep pretending out here, Alara said, wrapping the jacket tighter. Nobody's watching. I'm not pretending. He leaned against the railing, studying her. Tell me something real, Alara-chan. Why did you really come to this party tonight? I already told you. I wanted the truth. She swallowed hard. Something about the darkness and the distance from the party made her honest. I wanted to feel like I mattered. Like someone might see me as more than just the quiet girl in the corner office. Pathetic, right? No. Jinwoo's voice was rough. It's human. We all want to be seen. Even dangerous men with mysterious business deals? A smile ghosted his lips. Especially them. Alara stepped closer, emboldened by champagne and his jacket around her shoulders, and the way he looked at her like she was the only person in the world. What's your real reason for being here tonight, Jinwoo? Something shuddered in his expression. Business. Like I said, that's not the whole truth. No. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. But it's all I can give you right now. The moment stretched between them, charged with possibility. Jinwoo's fingers lingered against her neck, his eyes dropping to her lips. Alara's heart hammered. He'd said no kissing unless she initiated. So she did. Rising on her toes, Alara pressed her mouth to his. Just a soft brush of lips, testing, tentative. Jinwoo went rigid for half a second. Then he groaned low in his throat and took over completely. His hands slid into her hair, tilting her head to deepen the kiss. Alara gasped, and he swallowed the sound, his tongue sliding against hers with devastating skill. Nothing about this kiss was gentle or fake. It was hungry, claiming, real. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jinwoo pressed his forehead to hers. Alara, I know. This wasn't part of the deal. Fuck the deal. He kissed her again, softer this time. I want to see you again. After tonight. You don't even know me. Then let me. His thumb traced her swollen bottom lip. Dinner tomorrow. Somewhere you pick. Somewhere normal where we can just talk. Alara wanted to say yes. Every cell in her body screamed yes. But something in the way Jinwoo had dodged her question about his business made warning bells ring faintly in the back of her mind. Tell me why you're really here tonight, she said. The truth, Jinwoo. All of it. His jaw clenched. For a moment, she thought he might actually tell her. Then his phone buzzed in his pocket. He glanced at the screen, and his entire demeanor changed. The warmth drained from his eyes, replaced by something cold and calculating. I have to go, he said abruptly. What? Now? Business. He was already stepping back, physically and emotionally. I'm sorry. Jinwoo, wait. But he was already moving toward the door, leaving her alone on the balcony wearing his jacket and tasting him on her lips. Alara stood frozen on the balcony, Jinwoo's jacket still warm around her shoulders. The door clicked shut behind him, and suddenly the December cold bit harder. What just happened? 1 minute they were kissing like the world was ending. The next, he vanished like she'd imagined the whole thing. Except her lips still tingled, his cologne still wrapped around her, and her heart still raced like it was trying to escape her chest. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands. No contact information. No last name to search. Just Jinwoo Kong, and the memory of his hands in her hair. There you are. Alara turned to find her co-worker Maya stumbling onto the balcony, champagne sloshing in her glass. Girl, everyone's talking about you and that insanely hot guy. Who is he? Where'd you find him? And can he clone himself? It's complicated. Complicated hot is the best kind of hot. Maya leaned in conspiratorially. David looked like someone kicked his puppy when he saw you two dancing. Finally got his attention, huh? Yeah. Alara's voice was hollow. Finally. But she didn't care about David anymore. She cared about the dangerous man who'd kissed her like she was oxygen and then disappeared into the night without explanation. The party lost its magic after that. Alara made polite conversation, accepted congratulations on her mystery man, and left early with Jinwoo's jacket hidden in her bag like stolen treasure. At home, she Googled him. Jinwoo Kong. The search results made her blood run cold. CEO of Kong Enterprises. Suspected ties to organized crime. Investigated for money laundering, but never charged. Photos of him at charity galas and underground fight clubs. Articles speculating about his real business ventures. The most recent headline stopped her heart. Kang's rival found dead. Authorities suspect gang war escalation. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. I'm sorry I left. Can I see you tomorrow? JW. Alara stared at the message. Every logical thought screamed to block the number and forget tonight ever happened. He wasn't just dangerous in a metaphorical sense. Jin Wukong was potentially connected to actual organized crime. Her fingers moved before her brain could stop them. How did you get my number? I have resources. Is that a yes? You're not who you said you were. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. No. But tonight wasn't a lie. Meet me. Let me explain. Please. That please shouldn't have mattered. But it did. Riverside Cafe. Noon. Public place. Thank you. Sleep well, Alara. She didn't sleep at all. Morning came gray and cold. Alara changed outfits 4 times before settling on jeans and a sweater. Casual enough to run if needed. She arrived at the cafe 15 minutes early, positioning herself with a clear view of all exits. Jin Woo appeared at exactly noon. Somehow he looked even more dangerous in daylight, black jeans, leather jacket, those tattoos fully visible now. Intricate dragons coiled up his neck, disappearing into his hairline. Every woman in the cafe turned to stare. He only looked at her. You came. He slid into the seat across from her, relief evident in his voice. I Googled you. Alara folded her arms. Want to explain why business involves suspected organized crime connections? Jin Woo's jaw tightened. It's not what you think. Then what is it? He glanced around the cafe, then leaned forward. My family built an empire. Legitimate and otherwise. I inherited both sides when my father died. I've spent the last 3 years trying to separate myself from the criminal elements, but it's complicated. Complicated seems to be your favorite word. The man who died last week, Victor Chen. He's been trying to take over my territory for years. He's ruthless, violent, and he doesn't care who gets hurt. Jin Woo's hands clenched on the table. I didn't kill him, Alara. But I won't pretend I'm mourning him either. Victor Chen. The name echoed in Alara's mind, familiar somehow. Why were you really at the party last night? She asked quietly. Jin Woo held her gaze. Because Victor Chen owned a stake in your company. I needed to meet some of his associates, see what they knew about his death. And yes, I needed cover. Someone unthreatening to make me look occupied with personal matters instead of business. The words hit like a slap. So I was useful. You were. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Alara, please. It started a strategy. But the moment I saw you standing there, looking so beautiful and so alone, something shifted. Then I talked to you, danced with you, kissed you. His voice dropped. That was all real. How am I supposed to believe anything you say? You're not. Not yet. Jin Woo leaned back, resignation in his eyes. I'm asking you to give me a chance to prove it. I know I don't deserve one. I know I should walk away and let you go back to your safe, normal life. But I can't stop thinking about you. Raw honesty bled through his words. The way you fit in my arms. The way you kissed me like I wasn't a monster. The way you looked at me like I could be something better. Alara's resolve wavered. This was insane. He was potentially dangerous. Definitely involved in illegal activities. Everything about this screamed run. One date, she heard herself say. Real one. No lies, no schemes. You tell me everything, and I decide if there's a second date. Jin Woo's smile was devastating. Deal. And I'm keeping your jacket until you earn it back. Keep it forever. It looks better on you anyway. He stood, pulling out his phone. I'll pick you up at 7. Wear something comfortable. I'm taking you somewhere special. Where? Trust me. Alara shouldn't. Every instinct said she absolutely shouldn't. 7, she agreed. Jin Woo picked her up in a sleek black car that probably cost more than her annual salary. But instead of some expensive restaurant, he drove them to a night market on the outskirts of the city. This is your idea of special? Alara asked as they walked through stalls selling street food and handmade crafts. This is real. He bought her honey-glazed hotdog from a vendor who greeted him by name. No pretense. No performance. Just us. They wandered through the market, and Jin Woo told her everything. His father's empire. The violence he'd witnessed growing up. His desperate attempts to go legitimate while older members of his organization resisted change. Victor Chen wanted war, Jin Woo said, stopping near a fountain lit by string lights. I wanted peace. That made me weak in his eyes. You're not weak. Alara touched his arm. Wanting peace takes more strength than choosing violence. Something vulnerable flickered in his expression. You really believe that? I do. Jin-woo pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. I don't deserve you, Alara-chan. Probably not. She smiled. Kiss me anyway. He did. Slower this time, softer. Like he was memorizing the taste of her. When they broke apart, Jin-woo's phone buzzed. He ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. You should check that, Alara said reluctantly. Jin-woo glanced at the screen, and his entire body went rigid. I have to go. Right now. What? Jin-woo. There's a situation at one of my properties. I'm sorry. He was already steering her back toward the car. I'll explain everything tomorrow, I promise. He drove her home in tense silence, kissed her hard at her doorstep, and disappeared into the night again. Alara stood in her empty apartment, frustration warring with concern. She wanted to trust him, wanted to believe he was telling the truth about leaving his criminal life behind. But he kept running away. She tried calling. No answer. Texted. Nothing. Hours passed with only silence until her phone finally rang at 2 a.m. Jin-woo. Alara. His voice was rough, exhausted. I'm sorry. Are you awake? Obviously. Can I see you? I know it's late, but I need. He paused. I just need to see you. 20 minutes later, Jin-woo stood at her door looking wrecked. His knuckles were bruised. Blood spotted his shirt collar. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. What happened? Alara pulled him inside, her hands hovering over the injuries. Are you hurt? Not my blood. He sagged against her door. One of Victor's old associates tried to make a move tonight. Thought with Victor gone, they could take over some territory. I had to handle it. Handle it how? You don't want details. Maybe she didn't. But she needed honesty. Did you kill anyone? No. Jin-woo met her eyes. I don't do that anymore. Haven't for 2 years. But I had to remind certain people that going legitimate doesn't make me harmless. Alara should have been terrified. Instead, she found herself pulling him toward her bathroom. Sit. She cleaned his knuckles with gentle hands while Jin-woo watched her like she was performing a miracle. When she finished, he caught her wrist. Why are you still here? His voice cracked. Why aren't you running? I don't know. Honest answer. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm seeing something in you that isn't really there. Or maybe, she cupped his face. Maybe I see exactly who you are, and I'm choosing to stay anyway. Jin-woo kissed her desperately, pulling her into his lap. His hands slid under her shirt, warm against her skin. Alara gasped and he froze. Tell me to stop, he murmured against her mouth. Tell me this is too fast. Don't stop. They barely made it to her bedroom. Clothes disappeared between heated kisses and whispered confessions. Jin-woo worshipped every inch of her skin like she was sacred, and Alara felt more seen, more wanted, more alive than ever before. Afterward, they lay tangled together in her sheets. Jin-woo traced patterns on her bare shoulder, his expression unguarded for the first time. I'm falling for you, he said quietly. I know it's too soon. I know I shouldn't. But I am. Alara's heart stuttered. Jin-woo, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. He pressed a kiss to her temple. You make me want to be better. Do better. I'm meeting with my lawyers next week to finalize dissolving the criminal operations. All of them. Really, really. His arms tightened around her. I want a real life, Alara. With you in it, if you'll have me. She turned in his embrace, searching his eyes. They were clear, honest, vulnerable in a way that made her chest ache. I'm falling for you too, she whispered. Jin-woo's smile was brilliant. He kissed her again, slow and deep, and pulled her closer. They fell asleep wrapped around each other as dawn painted the sky pink. Alara woke alone. A note on the pillow read, business meeting. Back by tonight. I love you. JW. I love you. 3 words that made her heart soar. She floated through her day until Maya called, voice frantic. Alara, turn on the news. Right now. She did. Her blood turned to ice. The headline read, Kong Enterprises linked Tuchin family. Mafia boss allegedly used goddaughter as revenge pawn. Below it, photos. Jin-woo meeting with associates. Documents outlining a revenge plot. And one image that shattered her world. A file folder with her name on it, dated 3 weeks before the Christmas party. Her phone rang. Jin-woo. Alara answered with shaking hands. Tell me it's not true. Silence. Then, let me explain. Tell me you didn't know who I was before the party. Tell me this wasn't all part of some revenge scheme. Tears burned her eyes. Tell me I wasn't just a pawn, Jin-woo. Alara, please. She hung up. Alara stared at her phone as it rang again. And again. Jean Wu's name flashing like an accusation. She declined every call. The news kept playing. Reporters dissected every detail. Victor Chen's goddaughter, a woman he'd never mentioned, who didn't even know about their connection until her mother casually mentioned it years ago. Some distant family tie that meant nothing to Alara, but apparently meant everything to Jean Wu's revenge plot. Her doorbell rang. She knew who it was before checking the peephole. Go away, she called through the door. Alara, please. 5 minutes. Let me explain. Explain what? That you targeted me? That everything was a lie? Not everything. His voice cracked. Open the door. Please. Against every instinct, she did. Jean Wu looked destroyed. Hair disheveled, eyes red-rimmed, the same clothes from last night wrinkled and worn. You have 3 minutes, Alara said coldly. He stepped inside, keeping distance between them like he knew she couldn't bear his touch right now. Yes, I knew who you were before the party. Victor Chun was your godfather. A man I met twice in my entire life. I didn't know that. Jean Wu's hands clenched at his sides. I thought you were close. I thought approaching you, making you care about me, would hurt him. Destroy him the way he destroyed people I cared about. Each word was a knife. So I was just revenge. At first, he took a step closer. But Alara, the moment I talked to you, everything changed. You weren't some pawn or weapon. You were real and beautiful and kind, and you looked at me like I was more than my father's legacy. Pretty words. Her voice shook. When did you plan to tell me the truth? After you'd used me completely? After Victor was destroyed, and I was just collateral damage. I was never going to use you. Jean Wu's composure shattered. I abandoned the entire plan that first night on the balcony. When you kissed me, I knew I couldn't do it. Couldn't hurt you. Couldn't pretend anymore. Liar. I'm not lying. His voice rose, desperate. Why do you think I left the party so suddenly? I got a message that Victor had died. My revenge was already over, and I'd just met the only person who'd ever made me want to be better. I was terrified of losing you before I even had you. Alara wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to so badly. The business meeting this morning was me severing every tie to my criminal operations. All of them. Jean Wu pulled out his phone with shaking hands, showing her documents. Dissolution papers. Transfer agreements. I'm out, Alara. Completely. I gave it all up. For what? For you. The words exploded out of him. For a chance at a real life with you. I don't care about the empire or the power or the revenge. I care about waking up next to you, making you smile, being worthy of the way you look at me. Tears streamed down Alara's face. How am I supposed to trust anything you say? You're not. Jean Wu's voice broke. I lied to you, used you, kept secrets. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I'm begging you anyway, because losing you would destroy me more than Victor Chen ever could. You should have told me the truth from the beginning. I know. You should have trusted me. I know. I should hate you. But even as she said it, her traitorous heart ached for him. Jean Wu closed the distance between them, not touching but close enough that she could feel his warmth. I love you, Alara Chen. I've never said that to anyone before. Never felt it before. And I know I don't deserve you, but I'm standing here anyway, asking you to give me another chance to prove I choose you over everything else. Jean Wu. Her resolve crumbled. I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you if you let me. I'll be transparent about everything. No more secrets. No more lies. Just me, flawed and broken and desperately in love with you, trying to be the man you deserve. Alara's hands fisted in his shirt, torn between pushing him away and pulling him close. You broke my heart. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. His forehead pressed against hers. Tell me how to fix this. Tell me what you need. I need time. The words hurt to say. I need to think. Process everything. Figure out if I can really trust you again. Jean Wu's eyes squeezed shut, but he nodded. Okay. Take all the time you need. I'll wait. Forever if I have to. He stepped back, and the space between them felt like an ocean. At the door, he paused. The night we spent together? That was the first time I felt like I belonged somewhere. With someone. His voice was raw. You weren't a pawn, Alara. You were never a pawn. You were the first real thing I'd ever had, and I ruined it because I was too afraid to be honest. Then he was gone, leaving Alara alone with her shattered heart and impossible choice. Days passed in a blur. Her phone filled with messages from Jean Wu. Not begging or pleading, just updates. Photos of dissolution documents being signed. Legal papers transferring his assets. News articles about Kong Enterprises' complete restructuring. He was really doing it. Giving up everything. For her. Christmas came and went. Alara spent it with family, trying to forget dark eyes and dangerous smiles, and the way Jin-woo had held her like she was his entire world. Then Maya called on New Year's Eve. There's a party at the Grandview Hotel tonight. Jin-woo's company is hosting. Word is he's making some big announcement. A pause. You should go. Maya. He's in love with you, else stupidly, desperately in love. And unless I'm completely wrong, you feel the same way. So stop hiding and go get your man. Alara stood outside the Grandview Hotel in the same emerald dress from the Christmas party. Her heart hammered as she stepped into the ballroom. Different venue, same glittering lights and elegant crowd. But everything felt different now. She spotted Jin-woo immediately. He stood on a small stage at the front of the room, microphone in hand, looking devastatingly handsome in a tailored suit. Those dark eyes scanned the crowd restlessly, searching. Thank you all for coming. Jin-woo's voice carried across the room. I know many of you have questions about recent changes at Kong Enterprises, so I'm here to provide answers. Alara moved closer, weaving through the crowd. Jin-woo still hadn't seen her. For years, my family's business operated in gray areas. We told ourselves it was necessary, that we were protecting our interests. He paused, jaw tight. We were wrong. I was wrong. So effective immediately, Kong Enterprises is completely legitimate. Every questionable operation has been dissolved. Every criminal tie severed. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Jin-woo's associates looked shocked. Some angry. I know this disappoints certain people, but I'm done living my father's life. Done being the man everyone expected me to be. His voice strengthened. I'm choosing a different path. A better one. Why? Someone called out. Why throw away everything you built? Jin-woo's eyes finally found Alara in the crowd. His entire expression transformed. Hope and longing and love bleeding through every carefully constructed wall. Because I met someone who made me want to be worthy of her. He never looked away from Alara. Someone who saw past the reputation and the violence and the name. Someone who believed I could be better, even when I didn't believe it myself. Alara's breath caught. The crowd turned, following his gaze. I hurt her. Jin-woo's voice cracked. Lied to her. Used her in a scheme that should have died the moment I realized what she meant to me. And she has every right to never forgive me. He stepped down from the stage, moving through the crowd toward her. People parted like water. But I'm standing here anyway, in front of everyone, telling the truth I should have told from the beginning. Jin-woo stopped inches away, close enough to touch but not touching. Alara-chan, I love you. Not because you were part of some plan. Not because you're connected to anyone else. But because you're kind and brave and real in a way I'd never experienced before. Tears blurred Alara's vision. The entire room held its breath. I gave up the empire because it meant nothing without you in my life. I severed every criminal tie because I want to be someone you can be proud of. I'm standing here, completely vulnerable in front of all these people, because you deserve grand gestures and public declarations, and a man who isn't afraid to claim you as his entire world. Jin-woo took her hand, his thumb brushing her knuckles. You asked for time. You asked me to prove I choose you. So here's my proof. I choose you over power. Over revenge. Over everything I thought mattered. I choose you, Alara. Today. Tomorrow. Forever, if you'll have me. The ballroom was silent. Waiting. Alara looked at the man who'd shattered and rebuilt her heart in the span of weeks. She saw the boy who'd inherited violence and tried to escape it. The man who'd made terrible choices, but was desperately trying to be better. The person who loved her enough to give up everything. You're an idiot, she whispered. Jin-woo's face fell. I know. You should have trusted me from the start. I know. And if you ever lie to me again, I won't. I swear on everything I am, I won't. Alara reached up, cupping his face. I love you too, you infuriating man. I love you even though you're reckless and dramatic and apparently incapable of doing anything halfway. Hope blazed in Jin-woo's eyes. Really? Really? She pulled him down into a kiss that felt like coming home. The ballroom erupted in applause, but Alara barely heard it over the thundering of her heart. Jin-woo kissed her like she was air and he'd been drowning. His arms wrapped around her waist, lifting her off her feet as he spun them in a circle. When they finally broke apart, both breathless and grinning, He pressed his forehead to hers. I don't deserve you. Probably not. Alara smiled. But you're stuck with me anyway. Best news I've ever heard. He kissed her again, softer this time. Stay with me tonight. And tomorrow. And every day after that if you'll let me. Demanding, aren't you? Only about you. His thumb traced her jaw. I want everything with you, Alara. The messy middle, and the boring days, and the beautiful moments. I want to wake up next to you and fall asleep holding you and spend my life proving I meant every word I just said. Around them, the countdown began. 10, 9, 8. That sounds like a proposal, Jin Wukong, Alara teased. Not yet. His smile turned wicked. When I propose, it'll be perfect. Planned. Exactly what you deserve. 7, 6, 5. I don't need perfect. I just need you. 4, 3, 2. You have me. You'll always have me. 1. Jin Woo kissed her as fireworks exploded outside and the room erupted in celebration. This kiss was a promise of new beginnings and honest futures and love that chose to stay despite everything. When they finally pulled apart, Jin Woo kept her close, his jacket draped over her shoulders like armor. Happy New Year, Alara Chen. She smiled against his lips. Happy New Year, Jin Wukong. Here's to choosing each other. Every single day, he promised. And he kept that promise for the rest of their lives.